Everybody, this is the Mrs. Wolfie from our Half Acre Homestead. Today I'm going to make a treat. I only make at Christmas because, again, it's a pain in the butt. So I save all my pain in the butt lovely recipes for when my family's on their best behavior, which is usually at Christmas. Anyway, what we're making today is a pumpkin spice roll. Now, this has probably been done before, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm really enjoying it. And what we're going to need, or I really enjoy it, you're going to need for the cake itself 3/4 of a cup of pureed pumpkin, and this is my home-raised, home-canned pumpkin. 3/4 of a cup of flour, 1 cup of sugar. You can use brown or white. I use organic. In here I have 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/4 teaspoon of cloves, 1/4 teaspoon of allspice, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Ooh, let's just pop that back in there. Thank goodness my table's clean. And 3 whole eggs. For our filling, we have 1 cup of icing sugar or confectioner sugar, 1 cup of chopped pecans, 1 8-ounce package of cream cheese, 4 tablespoons or 5 tablespoons of butter, and we are going to add to that 2 teaspoons of rum extract because it's Christmas and, you know, vanilla just won't do. So here we go. First, we're going to beat our eggs and add our sugar. Now we're going to go ahead and add the sugar, and I think this is a little more than 3/4 of a cup, so I'm just going to add most of the pumpkin in there, and we're going to beat that all together. We're going to add, then we're going to add our flour and our spices and our baking powder. Now this may seem like a lot of spices for such a small recipe of cake, like not a lot of flour and all that. But the thing is your cream cheese filling is going to be so rich that you want your cake to be less sweet and more spice. Now what we're going to do is, okay, now we have a 10 by 15 cookie sheet, which I have lined with parchment paper, and then I've buttered with pastry brush, and then dusted with flour. Now this is going to be a super moist cake, folks. So my oven is preheated. Well, yours will be, mine's wonky. You want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees, and you're only going to bake this for 10 to 12 minutes. Like I said, this is going to be a super moist cake because we're going to roll it. So we're going to pour this on here. Oh, I wish you could smell the spices. And they're going to smell so much better too once they've baked, because you know it brings out the smell and the flavor. And we're just going to gently push this around the pan. You don't, you want it to be rectangular because we are going to roll it. Okay. Now they talk about having jelly roll pans. I just use a cookie sheet, folks. Let's give it a drop to, and this is going to go in the oven right now. And we are going to set our timer for 12 minutes. And when that goes off, our cake should be done. In the meantime, you see my cloth on the table here? While that is baking, we are going to dust this with icing sugar, because when the cake comes off that pan, folks, it's going to be turned onto this cloth. Trust me, it'll all make sense in a minute if you've never done this before. So we are just going to dust this with icing sugar, just like that. And this is the only time of the year that I actually use confectioner sugar and white flour, but there's just some recipes that it would just take the specialness out of if you didn't. But you know, everything in moderation, folks. I mean, you don't eat this stuff every day, so if you only eat it once a year, it's not going to necessarily poison you. Now, while our cake is in the oven, we're going to go ahead and make our filling. Now, like I said, we have 1 8-ounce stick of cream cheese, 5 tablespoons of butter. We have 1 cup of icing sugar or confectioner sugar, 1 cup of broken pecans. I actually chop them. And we have some rum extract. Now, I am not sure. I should have used a bigger bowl. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to go get a bigger bowl. I will be right back. Okay, I've gone ahead and got a bigger bowl. And we're just going to cream the cream cheese and the butter together. You want your butter and your cream cheese to be room temperature so that it is soft enough to do this. And then we're going to add our icing sugar, and we're going to go slow. This is why I wanted a bigger bowl. And we're going to scrape this down. I can already smell that cake. That cake only takes 10-15 minutes because the cake is so thin. Now we're going to add our, it says a half a teaspoon of vanilla, so I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of rum extract. Alright, we're going to add our nuts. And we are just going to let this sit out at room temperature until our cake is ready. I'm just going to make sure this is well, the nuts and everything is well mixed in. There we go. All right, we'll be back when the cake comes out of the oven. Okay, folks, our timer has gone off. And we are going to take our super moist pumpkin spice cake out of the oven. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this cloth and I'm just going to pop it over my pan like this, and then I'm going to take this other pan and set it on top so that when we flip it, it flips evenly. Then we're just going to take this other pan out from underneath and take this pan off. If I can grab it without burning myself. There we go. We want this cake to be a little bit closer to the edge. But there is our super moist pumpkin cake. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to try and pull it. There we go. We'll just gently pull it to the edge. Now, what we're going to do while this is still hot, we are going to fold the edge, and then we are just going to start to gently roll our cake. The reason we're doing this while it's hot is so that it will hold its form. If you try and roll the cake while it's cool, it will break. And we just want to let that sit there and cool just a little bit, enough that we can spread our frosting on it. Alrighty, now we didn't want it to cool down too much because remember what I said, it'll break. So we're just going to gently unroll our cake. See how it's kind of creased to the form of the roll that we're going to want? There we go. And while it's warm, we're going to spread our room temperature icing into the cake. Now you're not going to want to spread it because it will tear your cake. So you're just going to have to put clumps here and there and just gently. Don't be afraid to use your hands if they're clean. That just means when it's all over you get to lick your fingers. Oh my goodness. I'll be back when this is spread. Now that the icing is spread, you don't have to worry about it being too even because it's going to kind of squish together as you roll it up. And you're going to take the edge of your cloth, but you're not going to roll it up in this time. It is sticking to the cloth. I should have put more icing sugar on here. Well, let's hope this doesn't do damage all the way down. And we're just going to gently, there we go. Give a good coating of icing sugar. You don't want this to stick. All right, and then we're going to take our other pan and we're going to put this cake very gently. Oh my goodness. You did not just see what I did. We're going to put this cake seam side down and we are just going to let this cool in the fridge. And when this is cooled down and chilled, we will take a couple of slices. We'll be testing it tonight if I don't test it first. Alrighty, we'll be back when this is chilled. Alright folks, here it is out of the freezer and it is lovely and chilled. And I'm cutting this the wrong way because I'm right-handed. Isn't that just lovely, folks? It couldn't have turned out better. Isn't that beautiful? Now my son has consented to be on camera and try this cake for us. So I blackmailed him because it's one of his favorite treats, and that was the only way he was going to get a... Come on, tell us how it tastes.
Tastes good.
Okay, thanks. Hey, you just stole the second piece. Get back here. Well, if that doesn't say how good it is, I don't know what does. This is the Mrs. Wolfe from our half-acre homestead saying, you know, this time of year, reactions like that make all the effort worth it. Merry Christmas.